All right, very beautiful Nazim there as we continue here from Jalsa Salana in USA. My name is Adnan Burke. I'm from the Connecticut Jamaat alongside Brother Imam Hamid Malik Saab, who is here from St. Louis. And speaking of St. Louis, a couple of gentlemen here who are joining us, Brother Saab, who's from St. Louis, and Brother Rafeeq as well. So thank you so much for coming here, gentlemen. Really appreciate it. So both of you converted to Ahmadiyyat. Brother Saab, I want to start with you. Tell us about that journey, how you first converted to Ahmadiyyat, and what's made you stay a part of this community.
Okay, as a teenager, I rejected religion altogether because all I knew about religion was Christianity. So seeing how Christianity was being displayed, I had a problem. My family actually grew up as Catholics, but as a teenager, I rejected Catholicism and Christianity altogether, although I still had a belief in God. So basically, in my mid-20s, and I did what everybody else was doing. I wasn't a heavy partier. I never drank or smoked, but I still went to clubs and all of that. So when I turned about 27 years old, I asked God, something just entered my heart. I said, God, why am I here? You know, what's my purpose for being here? So right after that, I started studying the life of Malcolm X. And at that time, I still was not interested in religion. So one day I was looking at Malcolm X's documentary, and he started naming all the messengers of God, Moses, Jesus, peace be upon them all. And he said they were all Muslim. Now I'm confused because I'm thinking Jesus, Christian, Moses, Judaism. But after that, I became very interested in Islam. So I went to work and I started asking people, do anybody know a mosque that I can visit? And at that time, the only people that were at my job were people from the Nation of Islam. But I didn't want to learn Islam from the nation. And lo and behold, there was an Ahmadi that was working in another department. And as God would have it, he was transferred to my department. And his mannerism is the first thing that impressed me. He was the only person on our job that did not use foul language, talked very soft and all of that. So from that point on, I started communicating with him. And he told me that they had classes at the mosque, so I started going to the mosque. And the very first book he gave me was the book by the Promised Messiah, peace be upon him, called The Philosophy of Teaching Islam. And once I read that book, for the first time, straightforward, this is what God expects of you. This is why he created you. This is who God is. No roundabout, straight to it. This is what God expects of us. And I said, I didn't know anything about Promised Messiah and Mahdi at that time. So I said, this is not an ordinary man. And one day I was sitting up there reading that book, and it was almost like I had a vision while I was reading that book that a door was opening and Allah told me to enter that door. And so I knew at that very moment that Islam was the way, but I still was not totally convinced because I really didn't have full belief in prayer. And so one day while I was practicing prayer, even though I wasn't in Islam yet, I was just practicing prayer. And one day when I was in Sijda, I supplicated to Allah to give me some information on my brother who had disappeared. He had been gone for 2 years and he had some problems. So we thought he actually was dead. So I prayed to Allah to give us some information to ease our heart. Let us know what's happened to him. A week did not pass when my sister called me and she said that she was thumbing through a religious magazine and she saw a picture of my brother. And in there it said he had cleaned up his life, he had got off drugs, and right then he called me. So I knew right then and there, I told the brother, I said, I have no choice but to join Islam because Allah showed me, you know.
That's amazing.
MashaAllah. माशाल्लाह सदर साहिब कलीम वाली साहिब ने ज़िक्र किया है कि कैसे उनको अल्लाह ताला ने इस्लाम और अहमदियत की तरफ माइल किया। आप बयान करते हैं कि बचपन से ही सदर साहिब ने कलीम वाली साहिब ने ईसाईयत को धुतकार दिया था और वो किसी मज़हब का हिस्सा तो नहीं थे, लेकिन अल्लाह ताला कैसे उनको इस्लाम की तरफ, इस्लाम के लिए आहिस्ता आहिस्ता तैयार कर रहा था। फिर कहते हैं कि एक दिन ऐसा हुआ कि आपके कोई कॉलीग थे जो दूसरे डिपार्टमेंट में काम कर रहे थे, तो उनकी ट्रांसफ़र आपके अपने डिपार्टमेंट में हुई और वहाँ पे आपका इनके साथ ताल्लुक़ शुरू हुआ और अहमदियत का तारुफ़ उधर से शुरू हुआ। यहाँ से तारुफ़ इनको सबसे अच्छी चीज़ जो इन अहमदी की लगी वो ये थी कि ये इनका रवैया और तरीक़ेकार और इनका अपने आप को कंडक्ट करने का कैसा एक ज़रिया था, तरीक़ा था। सबसे पहले इनको इस चीज़ ने अहमदियत की तरफ माइल किया। फिर आहिस्ता आहिस्ता कहते हैं कि मेरे एक भाई थे, तो कहते हैं कि मैं बिलाखिर अल्लाह ताला से गो कि मैं किसी तरीके से नमाज तो नहीं पढ़ता था, लेकिन खुदा ताला से मैं दुआ मैंने करनी शुरू की। मैंने अल्लाह ताला से दुआ की अपने भाई के बारे में। तो कहते हैं कि मेरे भाई के बारे में अल्लाह ताला ने कुछ ही दिनों में हम समझ रहे थे कि हमारे भाई की शायद वफ़ात हो चुकी है, उसमें कुछ चीज़ों में वो इन्वॉल्व थे। तो कहते हैं कि कुछ ही दिनों में हमें ख़बर मिली कि वो ज़िंदा हैं और वो अल्लाह ताला के फ़ज़ल से वो उन्होंने जो बुरे कामों में जो वो इन्वॉल्व थे वो भी उन्होंने छोड़ दी हैं। तो कहते हैं कि ये मेरे लिए खुदा ताला की तरफ से इलाही निशान था, जिसके बाद फिर उन्होंने कहा कि मेरे पास और कोई चारा ही नहीं है सिवाय इसके कि मैं इस्लाम और अहमदियत में शामिल हो जाऊँ।
All right, brother, tough act to follow. I don't know if your story was that introspective or at least something that powerful. What was your journey towards Ahmadiyyat?
Sure. Similar to what President Sahib Kaleem Wali has mentioned, I was also I was more into a little bit into the club scene, hanging with some people, some drinking, and I just felt I grew up in a Catholic as a kid, and then I kind of broke away from that later on in life, and then I joined a church after I've gotten married for some time, still never feeling satisfied with any of the results from that religious aspect. I had a friend that I used to work with. He used to cut my hair for me, and he used to go to this program, and he would always come to my house and he would invite me out to this program, which was called the Tawheed Youth Group. And what they did, they basically would go out, talk to gang members. At this time, I should mention that I had 2 small children at the time. So I was kind of feeling uneasy about how I was raising my children, what I was going to give them in life. I can feel a lot tugging on my heart on trying to clean my life up first. So this brother would come over to my house and cut my hair for me, and he would always invite me down to this program, the Tawheed Youth Group. They would go out on the streets and talk to gang members and people in gang doing any kind of thing on the streets that inappropriate. And we would talk to those brothers and see if we can get them to try and clean their acts up as well. So by going down there, eventually I would come to join their organization, the Tawheed Youth Group, which the majority of the makeup was a lot of the brothers from the Nation of Islam and some other Muslim groups. Some of the Ahmadi brothers would come down to that function. We would meet on a Saturday. So a lot of the Ahmadi brothers would come down, 2 or 3 of them would come down, and the organizer of that group would let them speak, and it was just something about those brothers when they would speak was totally different from what I had ever heard coming from a religious aspect. As I said, I eventually went on to join that Tawheed Youth Group, and Brother Kaleem, he was one of the brothers who used to come down with this group. And eventually, after joining with that group, he came back and spoke to me, and I just was not satisfied with what I was getting from that group. And he invited me, along with another brother, invited me over to their organization where they met over in Pine Line. And basically, once I went over there, it was a Saturday. They owned a barbershop across the street as well. Brother Munir Ahmed was the proprietor of the barbershop, and the masjid was across the street. And so I went and knocked the door at the masjid, and it was a Saturday, so there was not really much going on. So one of the brothers saw me knocking the door, who was at the barbershop at the time, and he came over, and Brother Munir said, go and see about the brother. And so he came over and basically said, brother, there's really nothing going on today, but why don't you come back tomorrow, which would have been Sunday, And I came back that Sunday, and basically the rest is history, brother. I've been an Ahmadi since that time after studying with them brothers.
MashaAllah. So Sahib, if I can just ask you, what is it that you find different in Ahmadiyyat versus what you have seen other Muslim denominations and other Muslims? Primarily, we see that a lot of African Americans turn to Nation of Islam. So what is it that is unique about Ahmadiyyat that you have found?
The thing that drew me to Ahmadiyyat initially was that, first of all, the founder of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, the Promised Messiah, peace be upon him. Before I even knew about his title, the first thing I said was, this is not an ordinary man. And I came from a background where we really didn't trust too many people that was, anywhere near a white complexion. But yet here's a man who's just a shade darker. And now I'm accepting him as this promised Messiah, peace be upon him. And just the truthfulness and straightforward that he had, and the honesty and his character, everything about that just drew me in. And so basically, then when I went to the non-Ahmadis, I said, well, maybe it's something that the Ahmadis are hiding. So let me go and ask these non-Ahmadis, about the Ahmadiyya Muslim community. I said, so what is it about the Ahmadiyya Muslim community that you have a problem with? He said, well, they feel that they're better than everybody else. I said, so they feel they're better than everybody else. Have they ever told you couldn't come to the mosque or anything? Well, no, they never told. I said, so what about them? But they never had a spiritual answer for the questions that I had. So, and I wanted to test Ahmadiyyat. And when I went to them, they actually confirmed for me that Ahmadiyyat was the truth. And so when I signed by it, and I went back to one of their meetings, I said, I joined Islam. And they say, well, okay, you joined Islam, alhamdulillah. They said, who did you join with? I said, the Ahmadis. The whole room got quiet. but basically their behavior, and all the Ahmadi brothers were always mild-mannered, soft-spoken compared to the non-Ahmadis who were very harsh in their tone. They used foul language. So I just knew that was not the way,
Brother, how have you found it in the fact that when you look at the Ahmadiyya community, what's unique about St. Louis is at least half is African American versus some of these other communities. What have you found that the way the community's changed since you've joined Ahmadiyya? How have you noticed the community's changed in St. Louis?
Well, I would say that being right in the heart of the poor neighborhood, we've had a good opportunity to really get a good exposure of serving the people and getting in the community and really bringing those people who normally would kind of stray away from somebody who would be Muslim. Contrary to that, we bring them closer to us, and we have our doors open for them anytime they're ready. Ward meetings, block unit meetings. The kids come over, they get on the computer, they pray with us sometimes. Funny story about one young man in the community. He came and we were having some program, and he started praying with us. And it was one of our, I think it may have been maybe a longer prayer where we had a lot. And I think we joined the prayer at this particular time for some reason. And he got up and he said, man, y'all pray too much. But yet still, he continued to pray with us. And inshallah, they will continue to come to us, and we will be a source of enlightenment to the community.
Inshallah.
Inshallah.
So quickly, Sadr Sahib and Rafeeq Sahib, if you can quickly, if you have any message for African Americans that are looking into religion, what would that message be if you would give them?
The message I would have is that the beauty of Ahmadiyyat is the institution of Caliphate. Allah made a promise in chapter 24 of the Holy Quran, and that promise has been kept only in the community of Ahmadiyyat. And also, there are some problems that we have that are unique to our community, but there is no problem that the Quran, that Islam has not addressed. Islam has addressed every problem out there. So any social problem that we're going through, our dealings with the police, our relationship with the police and all that, Islam has addressed all of those issues, and it connects us to the greatest man that ever walked planet Earth, the Holy Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, his deputy, the promised Messiah, peace be upon him, and the institution of Caliphate. And we have some wonderful pioneers, example like Brother Munir, Brother Bashar, Sabur, Brother Ahmed Saeed, Sister Rashida Saeed. We have some beautiful examples of how they came and how they endured. And they endured much worse things than we did, but yet Ahmadi was that rock purely because of the institution of Caliphate. And the main thing, and also besides Caliphate, is the universal brotherhood. When I went to the UK Jalsa, I had brothers from every part of the world, and we embraced like long lost family. So that basically is there. You cannot put a value on that. It's priceless.
Brother Rafeeq, just want to close out your thoughts?
I would only say that, through the studies of Islam and through Ahmadiyyat, that I only say for myself personally, I don't have the courage to walk away. It would take a lot of courage to walk away from this thing and know that you're going to be held accountable by Allah. So that is what keeps me, the truth keeps me with Ahmadiyyat.
I really appreciate the time, both of you. Southern Side, Brother Rafeeq, appreciate it.
Mashallah.
Obviously,
Mashallah.
St. Louis is a thriving community. Good luck with the humidity in the summer. It's nice.
Mashallah.
Appreciate you guys coming. He says great things about it.
Alhamdulillah.
All right, we continue with our coverage from Justice Atlanta, USA with more.